Mobility overhaul number 84, 84th hour, potentially even longer because some of these classes tend to just go on that wee bit longer. 84, and that's since we started counting. Getting into all the legs this morning, everybody. We're going to start with a very familiar one. Okay, we're going to be smashing, and when I say smashing, the only way to attack the calves is to smash them, okay? If you're just going around like this going, ooh, oh, that's all right, that, okay, waste of time. I'm telling you now, waste of time. We need to smash them, and that's why we use that word smash. It needs to be, yeah, you're getting in there, okay? In an ideal world, you could have someone helping you out, pushing your leg down into this foam roller as you grind it, okay? But unfortunately, we don't all have that, so we're going to get the leg on top if you need to. So what we're going to be doing this morning, I want you to start at the heel cord, your Achilles tendon, okay? We're starting round about that area. Now, I know some people are going to have problems with that. Don't roll your Achilles tendon if it's bothering you, okay? Starting off, that's the area we're on. We're going to start smashing it side to side. If you can, if you can't see me, you can obviously see me. Watch what I'm doing first and foremost, okay? The whole muscle area. I'm trying to smash it, pushing down hard into the foam roller, okay, just going for it. And what we're going to do for the first minute or so is start at the bottom and work our way up, just doing that, okay? So I don't want you to stop on the areas of high pain, but I want you to slowly, side to side, smash them into the foam roller. Keep going all the way, okay? And it's going to take at least a minute. Take at least a minute to get to just where your knee is. Don't roll, don't put the foam roller behind your knee joint, please, okay? I don't want you putting that force into the foam roller on the joint. So we're all starting, we're going for it. Width-wise, it's obvious how wide you need to go. You're going as wide until the muscle tissue becomes bone, okay? And the same the other way. So you're basically going the full width as much as you can, okay? And for a lot of us, we're going to find a lot of problem areas down towards. Glad that I nearly put my jumper back on, but I thought, nah, it's ankle mobility this morning. We'll be sweating within 30 seconds, and it was 15. I was wrong. So we're going for it, side to side, smash it, okay? Now, take your time. I want you to really force down into that foam roller. You can see I'm not putting my other leg on top. You can do that if you're a bit more advanced, but at this stage of the game and this early on in the mobility class, if I put that leg on top, I'm just going to wince and I'm not going to stay in a relaxed state at all with the muscles. So I'm trying my best, just smashing it side to side into the foam roller, really trying, not just using the weight of your leg, okay? Don't just dump your leg on top and go side to side. I'm pushing this down. You can't see that, but I'm trying to push down into the foam roller, working against the grain in the muscle tissue, and you'll feel it all boom, 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 boom. Okay, now I have to stay relaxed. Your toes, look at your foot, think about your foot. I want your toes to be naturally kind of in a relaxed state. You can see mine, I point that way, most people do, okay? So try to keep them that way. Don't point them up yet because you're going to find you're just going to tense up that muscle tissue that we're trying to smash. So side to side, okay? Now, again, I'm in no rush. At least another 30 seconds until we get to the top. So please don't rush. And if you do have more time, just go for a double whammy. And when you get to the top, everybody, I want you to start working your way back down. Okay, and the reason we're doing this, usually I tell you to stop in an area of high pain, but I want you to get to know, because some of us are probably only going so far. Each time we keep getting as far as the same spot. Some people can feel pain before they even press on it, but for others, it's not until we actually push down into those areas of the unknown that we discover, right, wait a minute, there's a lot of tightness and a lot of tied up muscle tissue further up or further down to where I usually go. I just wasn't aware of it. So we're doing an acquaint, if you like. We're doing an acquaint of your calves, okay? So get to know them, get to find the worst possible areas, and after we've done this and we get back down to that Achilles, I'll then give you another 2 minutes. Talk about spoiled. I'm going to give you another 2 minutes to go back and focus on areas of high pain within what you've just done. So without coming off, get back into it now. So most of us, if you're still working down, keep working down. But that's me back down to where I started. Now I'm going to go back to the areas that I felt on my little adventure I've just been on. I'm going to go back to all the my little journey through my calf muscles. I'm going to go back to all the places that felt hellish as in you push on them and you nearly jump. So the real areas of high pain that are causing you concern. And you can vent that pain any way you want, but just try your best not to sit there for 2 minutes going, ah! Okay, if you have to shout, if you have to cry, whatever it is, you react to it. And as always, just focus on your breathing more than anything. It's going to help you stay relaxed, but it's going to help give you a focus. We need to think about what we're doing though, don't we? Because it's very easy to spend 2 minutes and your mind's wandered off the task at hand. So we know the techniques now, everyone. Wherever you are on your lower leg, you pin that sore spot. You try to find the worst part of it. Okay, I found an area of very high pain now. So I'm trying to find the worst possible part of it. Okay, right, that's where it's the most painful. So I'm going to push down into this as hard as I can. I've not even started scrubbing yet. I'm just pushing down with as much compression force into that foam roller as I can. And now that I'm getting a good bit of force in, I'm going to start my scrubbing. So I always advise you try to get a good bit of force and weight into the foam roller before you start your scrubbing, because you'll find the scrubbing is the worst kind of thing you can do. And if you start it too early, you might just not end up pushing as hard as you potentially could have. Ugh. But what I will say is it feels absolutely hideous for many people, and it is for me right now. But realise that it is goodness. We are putting goodness back into our bodies right now. Just go for it. Try to stay as relaxed as you can. Don't let that muscle tissue tense, and just, like I say, the best word to describe it is just smash it into the foam roller. Technique-wise, we can try a bit of contract and relax. Okay, just imagine there's a wall at your toes right now. Push into that invisible wall. You'll find that your calves probably tense up, and then relax them, but continue scrubbing, pushing the weight in. Okay, that might help things a little more, or it might just feel like it's not doing anything. That's really dependent on you and where you're at. But a great one we can't hide away from, and I'll usually tell you to wait until you've got a good bit of scrubbing and a good bit of compression force into this foam roller before you start it, is we're smashing and flossing, and that is me now pinning that worst possible part into the foam roller as hard as I can, and now I'm just going to start rotating my foot because, you know, why not? Let's make it even more painful. But more pain equals more results when it comes to this stuff. And like I say, the pain that you're feeling should be at the foam roller, okay? You shouldn't be foam rolling here and feeling pain up here, etc. That is what I would like to think of as common sense. High areas of pain, blunt pain on the area that you're smashing into the foam roller, okay? That's what we're trying to deal with, and that's what you should be dealing with. So we can rotate the foot, we can point the toes, we can lift the toes, we can point the toes, we can lift the toes, and all we're doing there is while we've pinned that muscle tissue into the foam roller, we're managing to shorten and lengthen the muscle tissue while it's grinding through that foam roller in the bone. Okay, sounds nasty, it is, but it's a damn effective way to take things up a notch. And that's the difference between quality foam roll and quality mobility work, because a lot of people just buy a foam roller, roll on it kind of half-arsed, feels quite nice, feels a wee bit sore here and there, but they don't actually have any purpose to what they're doing. And as a result, they don't get too much from it. Right, okay, I'm giving you 30 seconds now. Do what you want with this area, okay? All I'm going to do is just overhaul the worst areas. So if you want to stay on a high pain spot, or you want to keep working on what you're doing, that's down to you. You know what you've got to deal with now, so deal with it. But remember, go as high as the calf as it starts to insert into your knee joint, but don't go onto the actual back of your knee joint yourself. You don't really want to be putting too much force into that one. 10 more seconds. We love this one. I need to get one of those mute buttons so I can mute myself when I'm doing this. Right. Take a breather there, take a sip of water there. And then we're going to change legs, okay? Exact same process, everybody. I'm going to give you at least a minute to do the whole entire area. I'll spin round this way, just so at least you can see what I'm doing. Okay, so remember, we're getting ourselves on that foam roller. Try to avoid putting a great amount of stress on the Achilles itself, but don't be shy of foam rolling it, but especially if you get in pain, if it's inflamed, I wouldn't recommend you do such a thing. Work on the tissue around it and above it. So straight away I'm starting, pushing into the foam roller as hard as I can, side to side, working against the grain of the muscle tissue, working against it rather than with it, okay, up and down, working side to side, pushing into that foam roller, and again, that's something you can't quite see that I'm doing, but I am pushing down. And the best way I always try to describe it is your bone. Just imagine you're trying to curve the bone around the foam roller, and that's going to help you get a lot a lot of force into the foam roller. And you don't have to go fast, everybody, okay? The problem is you can go fast, but if you're going fast, you're probably not putting a lot of force down into the foam roller. So the idea is you're trying to keep it relaxed. You're trying to keep the muscle tissue relaxed, especially when you hit those areas of high pain, okay? You don't want to be jumping for the ceiling and tensing everything up. So we're just getting to know the full length of our lower leg from knee to ankle. We spend a lot of time working down towards the ankle joint, okay? But today we're going to be working on the entire area and throwing a couple of new things in today as well that might help you out. So calves, lower leg, ankles, that kind of mobility. It's one of them ongoing battles. It's a bit like the groin, I would say. The battle really doesn't end with it, but it's important you keep fighting because it's such an important area. And it's an area that gets abused a hell of a lot. Okay, if this is all jammed up tight, it's going to affect your movement patterns and everything above it. If your ankle's not moving correctly, your knee's not going to move correctly, your hips are not going to move correctly, and your upper body's going to be all to shot. Right, 2 minutes, find your areas of high pain and get stuck into them, everyone. Get stuck into them. It's you, it's on you. You know the techniques. You know exactly what we need to do. Get as much force into that foam roller, scrub it, and remember you're looking for the areas that make you almost scream out loud. If there aren't any, you go for the next best thing, but I'm pretty sure most people will find areas of high pain. And remember, if you can bear it, try to introduce the weight of that leg on top. You don't need to completely rest it on. Great if you can, but you'll find the weight of that leg. I'll just take it to another level, but you have to be able to handle it. As in, if you're not relaxed when you've got that leg on top, you're defeating the purpose. So what have we got above and below? We've got the knee joint, and we've got the ankle joint, and we've got the foot, okay? That's what we've got immediately up and down from the area that we're working on today. So straight away, protocols, if you're having problems with your feet, if you're having problems with your knee, this would be one of my go-tos, especially your feet. A lot of the problems we get in our feet and ankles stems from problems in our calf area. Not all, of course, not all. But for a lot of people, and I say it and say it and say it over again, your ankles, I see some horrific ankle mobility, but yet people don't do anything about it. And for me, the number one driver is, as soon as I feel my ankles stiffen up with the likes of squats and stuff, you feel it straight away. You can feel how much harder it is to get down to depth. But especially if you're starting, runners especially, okay? Certainly since I've started running more often, ankle mobility it's became a daily thing for me. I'll be honest, it's became a daily thing, and you can see why so many runners can't squat. They cannot squat to depth, and why they end up with so many problems within their ankles and knees, and to hips to some extent, because of horrific ankle mobility caused by running. And certainly since I've started running, the only way I can keep on top of my ankle mobility is to do it every day. Now, I don't do it as in-depth as what we're doing right now, but what I will do each day is quickly smash the area, similar to what we're doing now, but not taking anywhere near as much time, and constantly stretching my calves. And I've talked to you before about if you've got a problem area, try to make it part of your conscious, try to make it part of your just thought process, and if you need to write it down and stick it on a mirror that you look at yourself in every day, so be it, until it becomes part of your routine. But something simple, every time you go up the stairs, stand on the first stair or the last stair and just stretch your ankles out. stretch your calves out. And all that little time, it doesn't need to take long, could take 30 seconds, could take a minute, but that's 30 seconds to a minute more than what you'd probably have ever done before. And if you keep doing it regular, it's going to stack up pretty quick, okay? And you're going to start feeling the benefits. Ankle mobility is important, and that goes for a lot of things. And I think it's more so important when you've got decent ankle mobility, when you've got good ankle mobility. It's only really when it starts to go downhill that you notice it. Okay, a lot of people live day to day with bad ankle mobility. They've never been able to squat very low, fall forwards, their knees cave in. They're used to that. They can't do a burpee with their legs together. They have to do it real wide. Right, we're done there, everyone. Start thinking about finishing up. Okay, so they're used to that. But I think once you've had decent ankle mobility and it starts to go downhill, you'll really start to feel it and you'll notice it. Right, anyway. Oh my word, what are we doing now? Right, we're taking that and going to take it to a whole new level. Right, this is where it should work if you've got trousers on. It just depends what kind of trousers and what kind of ball you've got. What we're going to be doing here, feel your kneecap, okay? If you feel in there, you get a right little hollow gap between the tendons, okay? I'm not going to name them. So we're going to get the ball in there, okay? You'll feel the ball just sits in there nicely, okay? If you're the average human being, that's how you should be anatomically made up. You should be able to get that ball that'll just fit in there between the tendons on either side. I want you to push it up and then bend your knee to wedge it in there, okay? Now, what I want you to do not let that ball slide out. What I want you to do is simply just lie back, pull your foot in as hard as you can. This is me breaking you in the beginner way first because this is new to you. Now, my foot, I want you to point the toes up. Point them up as high as you can. Keep pull. Did you just yawn at me? Did you just yawn as I was describing what? How dare you? I see everything. Lying there looking like you're going to fall asleep. Pull that shin in. Look where I'm holding. I'm not holding up here. You're not going to get any leverage at all. Get down here. Pull it in hard. Lift the toes up. Lift the toes as high as you can and push this in as hard as you can. You're trying to get as much force as you can. Do you feel that? Some people will feel it. What I want you to start doing is while you're pulling down hard, oh my word, people's scabby feet are on the leads and everything. Right, okay, I'm looking. So I'm going to be playing. Look at my foot, okay? This is how I'm smashing it. Smashing and flossing. Now, for some people, this will feel pretty hideous. You're grinding that in. You're feeling that calf muscle getting smashed, okay? Right in at the insertion point. This is where we get a lot of tightness. If there's a lot of tightness up here, we're going to feed a lot of slack back down into the calves, aren't we? So if you've got bad ankle mobility and you feel that you're doing everything under the sun and it's not getting better, you probably weren't doing this one. Now, for some people, this will feel horrific. You think that feels horrific? Keep the ball exactly where it is now. Everybody sit back up. I want you to plant the foot flat, okay? What I want you to do now is push forwards with that knee as hard as you can. Push forward, trying to close the gap between your hamstring and your calf. See what I'm doing here? My foot is pinned, I'm pushing forwards. Look at your knee. Make sure your knee doesn't start caving in the way, just like you would when you're squatting. Make sure it's tracking either to the outside of your toes or in line with your toes. We're pushing into it, okay? We feeling that? Play around with that angle. Try to push the knee forward and up. You're simply trying to smash it, okay? Smash and floss, that's all we're doing. Smash and floss, but by having the foot pinned now, we can get so much more compression force down, more than you'd be able to do by yourself with the foam roller. So with this ball, you can get a hell of a lot of work done here and a lot of effective mobility work done. I want you to relax, and this is where now for the next part, you're going to be, it's specific to you. Now, we all went for the centre there, okay, pretty much the centre. Now, this depends on how big your legs are, okay? Again, I'm not insulting you, everybody's different. But we can get the centre. Most people will feel a lot of pain within that area. But what we can also do is come out more, okay, more towards the outer leg. Try that, but before you do it, a lot of people, you'll find that you need to kind of support the ball there until you get the compression force, because it'll just end up popping off, if that makes sense. So out here, I've got nothing there but skin, okay? So a wee bit further out, a lot of people will find a lot of tightness, and straight away you don't even need to put a lot of force in there. So if you can get the ball in the right position, almost where you can see it on my leg, okay, push down, or the opposite. You can go to the inside of the leg. Again, not too far out, because all I've really got there going on is skin. Okay, I want to try and get the ball so that it's there, pretty much in and around where you feel that tendon. Either side, this goes for both sides, inside or outside. Pretty much where you feel that tendon, everybody, that's where I want to try, and that's why you maybe have to support it just until you pin it with the force of pushing forwards. If it just feels like, if you feel it, I'm getting excited, if you feel it pop out, as in, that's what you're trying not to let happen. So what I want you to do is get to know yourself, stick on the same leg we started with. I'm going out here, because I know that's where I've got a lot of tightness. It almost feels like a brick wall of solid muscle that's just tensed up tight, and I haven't even get any force in this, and it feels absolutely horrific. Now, beginners, if it's that bad, you do the first technique of lying back, pulling your leg down into you, smashing it by lifting and pointing the toes. That's the beginner variation. But if you're able to handle it, this is the more advanced, where you're really able to put a crazy amount of force. Now again, I can't really show you, but I am pushing this way, okay? Now I am, and it feels horrendous. But that's specific to me, and what you can do is play around with the position. You can move the knee backwards and forwards, lift the toes off the ground, whatever feels like it's working better. Okay, how are we feeling on live? Are we getting this? Are you finding problem areas? Is it feeling pretty nasty? Don't just say yes if you're not, but good. Right, so, no, that's okay. That's okay. Remember, this is specific to everybody, but make sure you are in the right position and you are doing exactly what I'm doing. Get the ball right up into the joint before you bend. If it feels okay, move it left or right and do it again. Repeat. Keep moving the ball around until you find an area of high pain. If you don't feel an area of high pain, please don't think something's wrong. It's just you're not that tight there, okay? So I'm pushing forward. Easiest way to describe it is I'm trying to get my butt cheek to sit on my calf by pushing forwards, okay? It's just blunt force, this, okay? There's no real technique. It's just compression force. Yep, we're feeling it. Trying to break up that tightness up, higher up into the calf that we don't get at very often, okay? And as a result, by attacking that area, we're going to feed a hell of a lot of slack up, yep, but more down. So if you are getting tight ankles, you're working on all this tissue down here all the time, okay? This is where you might find that there's a lot of benefit to be had. A lot of people, again, I'm no professional, knee problems, okay? If you're finding you're getting a lot of knee problems, certainly I've had pain in my knee, etc. So I'll always work on my hamstrings, I'll always work on my quads, and I'll always work on the calves, because these are all feeding in. If one of them, okay, maybe a professional will be able to tell me exactly which one of them it is based on how I'm moving, etc. But I just know as a fail-safe, if I attack all the muscle groups that are feeding in to that knee, okay, then chances are maybe there's a bit of tightness, okay, and just by feeding a bit of slack into that area, it helps relieve the pain or whatever the problem was in the first place, because, you know, a lot of the time, it is mobility and flexibility related. But a lot of the time when we start to feel pain, we start to get injuries, it's been going on for so long that our body's been compensating for so long that it finally gives in. We're going to change legs, okay? So hopefully you were feeling that one. It's just a case of it's specific to you. I would say most people, you'll find quite a lot of high pain in there, especially runners, etc., or people who do a lot of heavy lifting with their calves, as in big heavy calf raises. You're going to find a lot of tightness up in there. Now let me show you again. I'm going to get the ball in the centre. We're all going to do the centre first, okay? So your ball, you feel the tendons either side. Feel them either side. Everyone live, it's always good to know that, just in case it's me, and I'm made slightly differently to everybody else. Good. So we're going to put the ball in that cavity. It's important you try and get it up that cavity as high as you can when you bend the knee. If it's too far down, well, to be fair, you might still get a bit of pain, but we're trying to get it up high into that cavity so that when I bend my knee, okay, so see how I'm holding it with the hand? So when I bend the knee, it's up there. It's really up there. It almost feels like it's at the back of my kneecap. Yep. Right, beginners, you don't need to lie down. You can do it like I'm sat now. You can just use strength in your arms to pull this thing in. And to be fair, I would recommend that you try both methods. Don't just think I'm hardcore, I'm going to do advanced. Because to be fair, when I'm doing this, I do a bit of both, because I feel I can smash and floss it a bit better in this position, because obviously I can move my foot. So when I point my toes up, okay, I'm lengthening out those calf muscles, so it feels pretty nasty. Point the toes, point the toes, point the toes. If you're not feeling much, pull that flaming leg in even harder. Okay, make sure you're pulling that leg in. I would recommend you start here, yep, boom, smash that area as best you can, even if you're not getting a lot of feedback. If it's not that high pain, just go for it anyway. Once you've done a bit of that, you can plant the foot, and again, because I've now got the foot planted, I can just push. Okay, I'm trying to show you, but the ball will fall out if I exaggerate it, but I'm just going that way. It's pretty obvious. I'm trying to sit my bum towards my heel, and when I do that, and this is where, Leg to leg, you might find that one leg's worse than the other. You didn't get much pain on one and now this one's horrific. But it's a new movement, this one for us. So just take your time with it, get to know it, and don't write it off straight away. But we're pushing forwards and we can really go for it now. I've got a hell of a lot of force on here. Yep, it almost feels like my kneecap's about to pop. From here, I can start changing while I keep that force on. I can move my leg around and I can just help smash it up more. But ultimately with this one, we're not looking for you can't scrub it, okay? We can't scrub, we can't do all that stuff. This is just about getting a hell of a lot of compression force into that area, okay? And we can do some smashing to some degree to try and restore a bit of order. And it is a pretty nasty one, but it's one I would definitely recommend if you're getting a lot of pain and discomfort up on this one. Start doing it regular, okay? And we are going in depth today and doing it a bit longer. Doesn't need to be, okay? A minute each side if that. So, shake it out. Runners especially, okay? I keep saying runners because I know a lot of people are running. You'll find that's probably pretty horrific if you've never done it before, and it might just be the thing. You know, like I say, everybody goes down here. Tight ankles, my ankles are tight, so we spend a lot of time trying to restore order down here. We do a lot of that, and we might be feeling we're not getting any further, but things might be jammed up tight much higher up, but we don't think about that, do we? So by letting all this loosen off, it's going to help get slack down to here and help the whole ankle joint move better. And it goes for the knee as well. It's going to take a lot of strain and stress off the knee, a lot of pull. Think about that if it's all jammed up tight. It's going to be pulling on those tendons, pulling on the knee. Right, so now it's your chance to do it any way you want. You can go back onto the centre, but what I would recommend is, most people, see a wee bit further out, you can see I'm on the outer leg. That's where I would say most people will find a lot of discomfort on that area, okay, as we need to kind of play around with it though, I won't lie, because it just pops out. For a lot of people, it just pop out, see? No use now. If you just feel like it's just grabbing your skin, it's no use. But to get on that area for me, but that's where we're all different. We're all different. You might not be feeling anything here. Stop your laughing. Don't start this. Take it serious. But I won't lie to you. This is one that is pretty nasty. For a lot of people. So play around with it, get to know it, see where the worst part of it is. And we're all different. We're all different sizes, shapes, etc. But this is a new one, and it might just be the one that you've been waiting for. And I certainly think it is for me. So remember, you can lift the toes to help smash it further. And it's just about getting in there and trying to get on with it. Some people might not feel much pain and discomfort, other people it might feel absolutely hell. And I definitely say for me in some spots it's awful. Some worse than others. But if you're not feeling too much from it, that's okay. But all I would say is just be sure that you're definitely doing it right. Okay? Make sure you're in the right spot. Make sure you get the ball high enough up into the joint. Good. Right, everybody. Take a breather there. Stand up. See how things are feeling. Test and adjust. Walk around. Right, everybody. Get yourself in this position here. Want your knee on the ground, okay? I don't want you to feel under stress, so that's where you kind of have to play around with your position. If you're sitting like this and you're going, and you kind of get the knee down, play around with your position. Okay, the idea is, we're going to be doing another familiar one for those who follow along. We're going to be working along the shin bone, okay? So before you get the ball in there, if you're new to it especially, it's a good idea to get your fingers and just feel for your shin bone. What we're doing, we're coming behind the shin bone, okay, very technical term, shin bone, and I want you to push down along the edge of your shin bone, okay? It's going to feel pretty nasty in some areas, but just quickly go up the full length, all the way up, okay, to your knee joint. So I want you just to have a press, find it, imagine you're trying to get your fingers and push down in behind the shin bone, or don't imagine, just do it, okay? Now, for most people, in and around the kind of centre area is where you're going to feel a lot of pain and discomfort, and probably further down towards the ankle, but everybody's different. So what we want you to do is take the ball, start at your ankle, okay? Push in behind the shin bone, and then in to the shin bone. So we're going to be using the shin bone as a wall. So imagine this is my shin bone. I'm going to push down into that tissue and then grind it in. So push it in. Can you see? Does that even make sense to you right now? This is my shin bone. This is my leg. I'm pushing down into the tissue behind it and then pushing forwards in to that wall, which is my shin bone. So we're going to get a lot of compression force into it. Okay, so remember, we're not foam rolling the bone. So I'm pushing down, okay, and this is where you need everybody to just push down hard in there. Doesn't it feel nice? Push down. Does it feel all right? Roll the ball up one width. Push it down. Does it feel all right? Yeah, it's not bad. It's no comfortable, but it's not bad. Push it up a bit more. If and when you find an area of high pain, okay, you know the drill. You're pushing down as hard as you can and then push forwards to hit the shin bone. When you get an area of high pain, I want you to twist the ball. Twist the ball before you start pushing down tremendously into it. So we can take up all the slack of the skin and try to help restore that nice gliding. Oh, right, found an area of high pain. Was the shoulder. Right, so we're trying to restore that nice gliding action of the skin across the muscle tissue, because you'll find if things are tacked down that bad, there will be, I've done the whole 2-finger test with you before, go around your skin should move independently to the muscles, it should just move nice and freely, but a lot of the time it becomes tacked down. So that's why we're twisting the ball, okay? Now this is where it doesn't really work if you've got trousers on, so if you're twisting the ball, maybe it will, but I can't imagine it will, so if it doesn't, it doesn't matter. But if you've got shorts on, twist the ball so that the rubber ball pulls the skin up tight, and it doesn't feel nice, but you know, when does anything ever feel nice when it comes to this stuff? So we're pushing down hard. When you push down hard, you can scrub, okay? So I can push down hard, forward into the shin bone, and just little, you can see, if you can see what I'm doing now, I'm just doing little circles into the area. And this is where people also get a lot of problems. A lot of pain in the feet. Now, if you're finding a lot of tacked down tissue, especially as I would say you get maybe halfway up, really try and go for it. What about it? Yeah, snooze it. Snooze it. Don't rush. If you feel an area that feels, stay on it for a second or two, scrub it a bit, really push down onto it. Now this is one of the areas where it'll just not feel nice, it'll feel just not nice, all right? It's different to what we've just done on the calves. Calves is just all out brutal, you know what to expect. This just feels pretty not nice at all, does it? And it's very easy to just half-arsedly do this, okay? You really need to be pushing down, you really need to be scrubbing, and you really need to be getting stuck into the depths, okay? And we're just following along the shin bone. If we're getting a lot of tightness and a lot of tacked down tissue here, it can contribute, it can contribute to you not being able to stabilise your foot properly. So the muscle that we're doing right now, it helps you to create that arch, it helps you drive down. So you always hear me harping on about driving your toes into the ground to help create that arch for stability. This is a key contributor in creating that arch. So if things are pretty jammed up damn tight and they're not moving freely, that's why you might find that you struggle to create that arch and stability in the foot in the first place. But we need to get in deep here. So you need to push in hard and push into the shin. Remember, we're pushing into the shin as we push down. Go for it, everybody. Let's get it done, okay? you have to scrub it, you have to almost get all the crap out of the way to get to the prize. So that's why if you're just kind of half-arsed, kind of going, you're not going to feel or get to the area that we're trying to target. Right, start thinking about finishing up. Again, that's an area where we could spend a lot longer on, couldn't we? We could spend a lot longer on, but it's again giving people a chance. If you're finding a lot of pain, discomfort in there, and you're getting a lot of pain in your feet, struggling to create stability in your foot, struggling to create that foot arch, shin splints, etc., it's a good idea to start hammering that one. So again, this is not aimed at runners, it's aimed at everybody, but runners especially. And I say that because running is just wreaking nothing but havoc on your lower leg mobility. And well, lower leg mobility, in my opinion, is very important. Not only because it will affect your movement patterns and everything like that, but because our feet are part of our lower leg, in case you didn't know. And you know how I feel about feet. Not in the disgusting sense, I mean, you know how I feel about feet. These things are the things, your point of contact with the ground. We've changed legs, by the way, just in case you wondered. I don't know if I said that. I've changed legs. Wake up! But your feet are your point of contact, are the things that carry you, and as soon as you start getting problems with your feet, it just starts taking the enjoyment out of what you're doing. So they're important, look after them. A lot of people feel all the niggles and aches and pains start to develop and just try to ignore them. But by doing these mobility classes, hopefully you're getting armed with at least something. First response, if you like. And that's usually how it works. You get a little niggle, ache and pain, don't ignore it. Start working on the mobility around the area. Either loading up previous classes for the target area or just using the knowledge you've got and developed already from doing these. That's your first response. How does that feel? Do you find a lot of pain, discomfort, problem areas within? Start working on them. Start taking a bit of time away from what you're doing, or at least lower the intensity of what you're doing until it starts to recover. If you feel it starting to recover, great, keep doing what you're doing. If you don't feel it starting to recover, or it's just getting worse, then that's where you need to go see someone, okay? Because a lot of us live with pain that we don't necessarily need to live with, but we're stubborn, or we don't have time. But we've got time to keep working out and doing the things that are making it worse, but we don't have the time to invest in the things that make it better. But who am I? Who am I? Hey, going. Took me a while to do that. Right, keep going. So remember the scrubs. Get on an area, scrub it, push down, push forwards, and then go another ball width and do it again. And if you do find areas of extremely high pain, then make that your focus. We'll have a few of them probably along the route, but for most of us, this is just a little MOT. And for others, if you're doing it and you're finding a lot of problem areas along this little journey we're on right now, along the shin, then get the alarm bells. Do you think it was a blooming drag race here? What was I saying? Aye, if you're feeling a lot of high pain areas, that's your alarm bells right there, okay? That's your alarm bells. Right, let's get on this before it develops into something, or maybe ding dong, that might be what's causing the pain that I'm getting already. Might be, but hey up, who am I? A lot of problems we can definitely self-manage. Right, we're done here. Again, shake out, see how that feels. Oof. Before we move on to some flexibility, is there any other lower body foam rolling you would like to do on live? As in lower body, as in lower. Anything. Good, right, let's get your mats out. Okay, we're going to do our usual flexibility sequence for your lower legs. Try to get the blood in my feet are freezing. Only because if your feet are absolutely Baltic, you'll find when you do this one, they just cramp. Because they cramp every time I do it. Right, I'm not looking for sympathy that my wee feet are cold. Right, okay, so the sun was shining when we started this class. I opened the big door and it's Baltic now. So we're getting onto the knees. Now, familiar with you, get on it if you're familiar with it, sorry. If you're familiar with it, get on with it. If you're not, listening. So the area we're trying to stretch, keep it simple. Front of the shin, that muscle running up the front of your shin. Okay, so as a result, we need to have this foot flat. We need the top of the foot flat so that when I push down, it's stretching that area out. We shouldn't be on the toes, okay, because you're not going to stretch out at all, are you? So if it's tight, you'll find there's a big gap, okay, so let's pretend I'm pretty damn tight. There's going to be a big gap there and straight away you're going to be going, ah! But if it's a bit more flexible, you'll find the gaps maybe just enough to get your fingertips underneath, but we're trying to close that gap. Now this is where I would say if you've got bad knees, well, if you get bad knees, you're probably not even able to do this, it's just painful. Shouldn't be getting pain in the knees doing this. If you're getting pain in the knees doing this, don't do it. Or if you're getting pain in the knees when you go to a certain extent of it, don't go to that extent, ease off a bit. So all I'm doing to start with here is just trying to get as much weight down on this as I can. So even though I've got my arms here, showing you now, I've not got a lot of weight on them. I'm just using them to gradually. But again, beginner to advanced, beginners, you're going to have a lot of weight in your arms as you slowly introduce more weight onto your legs. It feels pretty nasty, okay? You have to think about relaxing. Think about that muscle that we're doing. Yep, see if it's unbearable for you. Suck it up. Get on with it because you need to do it more. It's as simple as that, okay? When I first started doing this, it was like, oh, this just feels wrong. It doesn't feel good at all. Okay, yep. We expect it up here to feel pretty horrendous, but we shouldn't be getting anything else going on. So we're on flexibility now. So pain is not your friend, discomfort is. Okay, so we shouldn't be getting pain. We should just be getting a large amount of discomfort. And depending on your ability with this one, it depends how much. So I'm pushing down. Now, I want you now to start leaning back a bit more if you're able to. You go as far as you're able to. If you're still sat here and it feels horrific, there's no point going further back because you're just going to end up giving up. So I want you to try and lean back a bit more, get more weight onto here, try to get back onto the hands, the whole time thinking about that muscle, thinking about the feet, thinking about the shins, think to myself, right, relax, let them sink into the ground, relax, yep, we're there. Now what I want you to do is lean back as far as, I want you to, again, be sensible here, I want you to imagine you're trying to get your knees to lift off the ground. That's how much stretch, that's how much force I want you putting down here. And no, this is not bad for our knees. Okay, our knees are designed for this. If there's pain in your knees, it's simply because you've got bad knees, you've got a problem with your knee. Okay, this does not contribute to bad knees. This contributes to keeping your knees healthy by moving it through its full range of movement. So it feels pretty nasty. Don't glute bridge up. Okay, if you glute bridge up, you're going to start stretching out the quads. We're not doing that. I want you to try and get as much weight back to the point where you feel that your kneecap may or is starting to lift off the ground. Pain in your knees, ease off, okay? We don't want that. We don't want pain in your knees. But what I'm saying is a lot of people, when they do this sort of stuff, are, that can't be good for your knees. And those are the people that will probably have a knee replacement in a few years' time. Right, let's go for it. So it's a nasty one, okay? No way to describe this one. It's pretty nasty, or it might be all right. We do this quite often, so it should be getting better. If it's a problem for you, write that in your notepad, put it in your mental notepad. Right, when you come out of this one, everyone, I want you to come out equally, okay? So lean forwards. And what I mean by equally is this, okay? I don't want you to end up leaning off to the side, because then what you end up doing is potentially hurting your knee or putting a lot of bad stress and strain on your knee. So come out of it equally as if you're coming out of a squat, okay? Okay, so my ankle joint, this is my wall, okay? It works well for me. You may have a heavy storage container, I don't know. But a wall is the best thing for you. Shoes on, ideally, because if your shoes aren't on, you're just going to slide and you're going to fail to get a good anchor in the wall, okay? Last warning, if I see one more yawn, you're out. Get to your bed earlier, right? Okay, so from here, we're stretching. we're going to be doing, don't disappear from the camera if you're familiar with this, we're going to be first of all stretching the lower area, okay, and then we're going to be working more up into the gastrocnemius, the big thicker part of your calves, okay, these thicker part here, but we're going to be working down towards the ankle joint first, but it's the same setup, everybody. Watch, I'm getting my foot as high as I can up the wall, so that I feel like the ball of my foot is on the wall, not just my toes, the ball of the foot, and straight away I can feel the tension, okay? Now before I commit to this, I'm gonna push in. I'm pushing into this as hard as I can. My foot ain't budging, okay? If you do this and your foot starts to slide, it's no use. So people say, oh, I don't feel a stretch. Half of the time it's because you've got a bad setup. So I need that foot wedged. My bench works well, it's not going to move. Your wall's going to work better, it hopefully won't move either. Now what I want you to do first and foremost with this, because we're going to attack further down here into the ankle joint itself, is bend the knee on the stretch. Okay, so first and foremost, push the knee forward until you start to feel a stretch. Now you can see I'm rocking it. That's going to help just relax things a bit more until I start to feel a bit of a stretch kick in. Then I feel the stretch. I'm going to continually push the knee forward and just start. You can see me shifting forwards. Me shifting forwards is to increase the tension of the stretch. Be careful or be cautious that when you're moving forward, you don't end up straightening the knee, okay? Because that's what's going to happen if you go forward too far. So don't let the knee stretch. Don't let the knee straighten up. Keep the bend in the knee. Go for it, everybody. Sit up. Now this is static stretching. So there shouldn't be you moving about, as in you shouldn't be coming in and out of this. This is a static hold. So I set up, I feel the stretch kick in, and I'm going to try and develop it further and further and further for the next 2 minutes. So I'm pushing that knee forwards. Okay, I'm going to shift forward a wee bit more. Right, I've got a hell of a good bit of tension on here now, but I'm going to continue trying to push my knee towards the wall or whatever you're pushing it into. Keeping the tension, keeping the stretch down towards the ankle joint here. You're going to feel it within the ankle joint, within the heel, the Achilles area. That's what you should be feeling, getting a damn good stretch out. Don't ease in and out of it. Make sure you're trying to take it further and further and further. When you look at your kneecap, ensure that your kneecap, or your knee joint, should I say, is not caving inwards. Okay, so your knee joint shouldn't be to the side of your big toe. It should be either in line with your toes or a bit more off to the outside of your body. Does that make sense? So we shouldn't see our knee caving inwards towards the center of our body. You're trying to fight that, and if that's what's happening, that's a key indicator that your ankle mobility is pretty guff. Good. Right, we've been holding that a wee while, but if you haven't, keep holding it, because this is what we're finishing up with today. Okay, so if you haven't had a decent setup, don't feel you have to change right now, because it's pretty obvious what we're doing. You can catch it up in your own time, or keep going when the class ends. Now, I want you to hold this position. If your foot's in a good anchor, keep it where it is. And what I want you to do now is lock the knee out. Now, I want you to lock the knee out, but I don't want you to try and break the knee, so don't put a crazy amount of stress backwards. But I've locked my knee out, taken the stretch away from my ankle, and now I'm going to shift forward. Okay, now I'm going to shift forward until I start to feel the stretch higher up. Okay, what we're going to feel now is, again, it's dependent to you. You're either going to feel it more in towards where it inserts in the knee, or you're going to feel it higher up on, like I say, the gastrocnemius, that thicker part of your calf. Okay, that's where we should be feeling it, and this is where it is. Now a matter of, you're trying to keep that leg straight. This is where a wall probably helps, but you can pull yourself into a wall, or if you're in a door frame, you can pull yourself into the door frame, so a door frame's a good place to do this one. You can pull yourself in more, but you can see that I'm shifting forwards more and more and more until I feel a hell of a stretch in my calves. Okay, so feel a hell of a stretch in my calves right now. And I'm going to hold this one for 2 minutes, but keep checking the position. Keep making sure your knee is locked out, and keep making sure, well, don't keep making sure, keep trying to go further with it. Okay, so keep trying to go further and further and further. You're trying to enhance the stretch. So do what you need to enhance that stretch. So this is us getting a full flexibility session on the calves themselves. Okay, we usually, like I say, focus more down towards the ankle joint, but today we're doing it all. So if you're feeling a lot of tightness in this one, start doing it more, okay? Don't just keep working on the problem area. If your ankle joint's not moving well, deal with the tissue upwards. And you might find that that helps a hell of a lot too. Right, I'm going to change legs there. Right, so I'm back on my, well, I'm not back on, I'm onto my left leg now, everybody. Same again. Get that leg up nice and high, get the foot up nice and high, should I say, on the wall, and then start to bend the knee. And I don't know if you've been watching, but left, for me, is always a hell of a lot tighter to begin with, okay? It almost feels like it's just not meant to move. So that knee's real stiff. So this is what you do, or this is what it looks like if you are lacking a lot of ankle mobility. Push the knee forward, rock it. It's going to help. That rocking back and forward is going to help just relax things a bit more, encourage your body to relax into a stretch. And once you start to feel a bit of a stretch sensation, you hold it and you're trying to take it further and further and further. You can shift forwards to increase the force, but make sure you don't shift forward and start to straighten out the knee. So let's go for it. This is down to you now. So I said earlier about just standing on a stair as you're going up the stairs and doing this. It's the same idea, it's the same stretch. You can do it with your legs straight, okay, or you can do it with your knee bent, but what you'll notice straight away, the difference between that and this, even though it's the same movement pattern, the same stretch pattern, you can't get the same amount of force. With this one, with our foot anchored and wedged, we can really push down into it. Okay, we can really get a damn good stretch, but when you're on the stair, all you've got is your body weight and gravity. But you can still get a damn good stretch. And if you are doing it on the stair, a good way to enhance it, should I say, to enhance it, is to do it 1 foot at a time. Okay, because you'll get more body weight onto one leg rather than 2 legs. That makes sense. So when you're stood on your stairs, if you're just looking for a quick bit of overhaul during your daily routine, I don't know, just do 1 foot at a time if you're on the stair. And even that is just enough to start introducing a bit of extra mobility work, probably much needed for most people on their ankles. Right, straighten the knee out, shift your body closer, work it out. It's all based off of feel. You're trying to establish a good stretch and then enhance it. So move yourself around until you feel a good stretch. Remember, the knee's locked out, but I'm not trying to force it. You know, I'm not trying to put too much negative stress on the joint. It's just locked out, and I'm trying to shift forward. And most people, when you do that, you're going to feel the stretch a bit higher up. You can break this down further. So we're holding it for roughly 2 minutes per stretch. You can break it down. I would say hold it for at least 30 seconds if you're doing it by yourself. So if you are doing a quick shift up the stair, hold it for 30 seconds per side. Much less, doesn't really do anything for us, to be fair. Right, walk around, have a test and adjust, okay? I'd appreciate, we're not warm, you know, your groin, everything else might be feeling pretty tight, but see how things are feeling within your ankles, okay? Do they feel more supple, okay? Do they feel more supple? And as always, let me move this out the road. That concludes today. As always, it's not just a matter of you do this class and that should get great ankle mobility. A lot of us need daily ankle routines, okay? Make it part of your bedtime routine, I don't know. Smash the feet, quick smash of the calves, quick stretch of the calves, boom. That'll go a long way. Doesn't need to take any longer than a few minutes. Make it part of your day any way you can. Going up the stairs, every time you go up the stairs, right, I'm going to stretch out each ankle for 30 seconds. That's 30 seconds more than you ever would have done before, potentially. So try and do it that way. Try to incorporate it into your day. That's how you get more of it done without feeling like you have to set yourself up or set time aside for a dedicated mobility session, because a lot of us don't get so much time to do such a thing. So incorporate it into your day. You know, if you're sat at a desk all day, most of us don't sit there productive for hours going do, 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 do. There's always moments where we maybe have to stop and think about something, or we fart about, put your phone down, forget Facebook, get your ball out and start smashing your feet or something like that. Do it that way. If you incorporate it into your day, you'll see little kind of, what am I saying? You'll feel big improvements without feeling like you have to sit down, because for a lot of us, it's like, oh, I'll just do it tomorrow. I can't be arsed sitting for half an hour doing my mobility work. Anyway, what was I saying? That was it. We're done. Very important one this morning. Lower leg, very, very important. Keep on top of it, and keep on top of it daily. I would urge you to, especially if you can't squat properly, especially if you're in pain in your knee, pain in your ankles. Keep on top of it. Right, we're done. Thank you very much. See you later.